Hello and welcome to the latest episode of Lost in the Specific. I'm your host Ginn, and today we're going to talk about love. Love. Because that's what's most important to us all, right, in this world. Finding love, finding our soulmate, or soulmates if you're liberal. And we're going to talk about finding love on the road. So for those of you that don't have a fixed abode, like to go here, there and everywhere, but still living that single life, hoping one day that someone will come into it and you'll be able to share it together and live happily ever after. Aww. We're going to talk about that. And we're going to talk about the difficulties in finding love when you're constantly on the move. We're going to look at some solutions, some false solutions, Tinder. And we're just going to chat about it. Now, I know some of you might be single. Some of you may be thinking, the first path to finding love is loving oneself. We ain't got time for that bullshit, right? This is about finding someone who you think's hot, that you get along with, and that you can share some time with. Because it's not easy. It's not easy on the road. It's not even easy in the real world. Especially nowadays, we struggle so much. We're always looking for something better. We're always looking for something more fulfilling. So finding love, it's not like when our grandparents were around. You'd meet them on Tuesday. You'd go to the cinema on Thursday. You'd be married by Sunday. None of that anymore. So many options available to us. And especially when you're moving around and you're going from country to country, city to city, hostel to hostel, whatever, you're meeting so many people that how can you even decide which one is the one? Out of all these options, which one is the one that I need and that I want? I'm not even sure I know the answer to that. Maybe somebody does. Maybe one of those life experts. I've been moving around for about 2 years now. 2 years I've been on the move. And for one of those years, I would say I wasn't really interested in finding love. Not even. I wanted to experience this lifestyle, this digital nomad way of life on my own. I don't want to share it with someone ruining it for me. But I wasn't in the best of places when I first started, especially when it comes to having an opinion on love. In fact, I was quite anti-love. Or anti, depending where you're listening. But I got to a stage where, I got what I needed as a solo gypsy, a digital gypsy. And I started becoming open to the idea of finding someone. But it's extremely difficult to create a meaningful connection. And that's what love is, right? It's a meaningful connection between two people. And unless you believe at love at first sight, which you shouldn't because it doesn't exist, then you know the reality that to have a meaningful connection, you need to build it. It takes time. It's like a fine wine, you can't just create a bit of wine and just drink it straight away. Like, you got to wait and then crack it open. But when you're moving from one place to the next, it's very difficult to create a long-lasting connection. Sure, you may have the attraction, the infatuation, the little bubble of excitement, and then you leave. Maybe you'll see them again. Probably won't. Go somewhere new. New friendships, new relationships, new encounters are all created. This lifestyle is so fast-paced that you can't really have time to stop and appreciate the connections that you have with other people until the connection has passed. And then, of course, there's the lifestyle. Say you go to Mexico, where I am right now. I meet a nice Mexican girl. We have some tequilas, eat some tacos, do a bit of dancing. I like her. You've got a problem. Do I live in Mexico now? I don't think so. Does she quit her job and just become a digital nomad overnight? Probably not. So you've got a conflict of interest. Two people living two very different lives. That doesn't work. So it's short-lived or not lived at all. And you move on. So you can't date local people. I mean, every time I meet a local woman, wherever I am, they'll always say the same thing. Oh, I would love it. I would love to do what you do. I would love to move around, work remotely, freelance. All right, let's do it. Oh, no. And that's the noise of excuses, which we've all made, so we get it. And then you think about finding maybe another digital nomad. Someone you can share the same existence with. Well, the problem with that is it becomes very intense very quickly. If you meet someone, if you're living somewhere, same city, your home city, for example, you meet a woman or a man, you start dating. You don't see each other all the time, maybe a couple of times a week. Then it's 3-4 times a week. And then you eventually build up to a point where you say, do you know what? I actually quite like you. Let's make this official. And then you start embedding your life into their life and your mind into their mind. You start saying things like we instead of I. When we go to the supermarket, when we go on vacation, lose your identity. Stop forgetting about your hopes and dreams. Hang on a minute. Right, okay. I'm shitting on love a little bit. Or relationships. Who knows? But a lot of people do that. They forget themselves. And I guess that's the whole mentality of a free-spirited nomad. You know, we don't want to forget ourselves. So you find someone, she's a digital nomad, he's a digital nomad, they're a digital nomad. Whatever. So you're like, okay, well, I'm moving around. Okay, I'll move around with you. You've only known each other 4 weeks. Now you're traveling the world together? That's intense in any relationship. So what happens? You burn out, it goes wrong. The misery, the pain, and then you're traveling again to heal old wounds. It doesn't work. No matter how much you want it to work, it doesn't work. And I'm sure somebody listening to this, people listening to this, will be like, well, it worked for us, so I just don't understand why it doesn't work for you. Well, good for you. Good for you. You're lucky. You're some of the lucky ones, because for most people, these barriers, these hurdles, if the relationship is meant to happen, then you'll get over the hurt. Okay, right, stop reading memes to me when we're having a very serious conversation about a topic that's very important to pretty much the whole of humanity. I hate memes. We talk in memes to one another. To know oneself is to truly explore. And Tinder's a bad thing. Tinder's not a good thing. Bumble lets them talk first. Listen, something I learnt from Bumble is women have zero first move game. And why should they? For decades, centuries, whatever's more than that, men have always been the instigator. And then Bumble thought it'd be all woke and progressive and be like, know what? We'll let women take the first move. 9.9 times out of 10, nothing in the form of wittiness comes from a Bumble message sent by a woman. Hey. That's when a woman writes, hey, that's just her saying, I'm allowing you now to take over and run with this. I'm not, just so you know, guys, like, we are going to scrutinize your opening Tinder messages like nothing we've ever scrutinized before. And if there's any flaw in it, probably won't reply. But when it's our turn, hey, hola. I have no problem with it. I think it's all right that men are the instigators and women are the responders to the instigation. But these social media apps anyway, or these dating apps, sorry, they're a waste of time. Everyone's on there for one thing. And yes, there's been some love stories. I know 2 people met on Tinder, 2 years later, still going strong. But people just want to meet up and have sex. And that's fine. That's good. It's good that we can live in a time where we can just be honest about that. And it's not just the men. The women are just as ruthless as well. We go for the drinks and the food beforehand because we don't want to feel too dirty. But we all know where it's going. And it happens. And then once you're done, you both look at each other like, we mean nothing to each other anymore. There's also this kind of unspoken feeling of, why are you still breathing? Again, men and women. This isn't misogyny. I've been with a lot of women that once the deed is done, look at me like, you can die now. No need to be breathing. But they're not great for meaningful, loving relationships. Just for getting laid. And they're addictive. They're addictive. I had to stop. I deleted them. I'd be swiping and swiping and swiping. And then I'd go out into the real world and my brain would still be swiping. I'd look at women. I'd be like, left, right, super like. You stop seeing the human. And that's very important if you want to find love. You need to see the human. Sex will only get you so far. As great as it is, and it's probably one of the best things that we do, for a successful relationship, sex will only get you so far. And time will burn you out, and things will slow down. The fire won't be as strong, and you're going to have to look for new avenues like, I don't know, personality. And if that's not there, then it's not going to last. So how do you find love on the road? Is it impossible? I think a lot of us like to believe that we'll be walking through a new city, new streets, new time. You'll turn your head right, she'll turn her head left. All right as well. Maybe I've got that wrong. Either way, you'll make eye contact. And you'll just know. And the connection will start and the love story will begin. The key to finding love on the road is to slow down. Now, a lot of you won't want to hear that because slowing down is an issue. It's a real issue. I'm missing out on these new places and adventures and connections. But stay in a place for 3 months. 6 months. You've got your whole life ahead of you. Get out into the community. Go to a co-working space. Stay in a hostel. Maybe be open to staying in a country that you weren't planning on staying in. But slow down. And let love develop. And if you're not willing to do that, then maybe you are just not ready. Maybe you're more connected to the fantasy of being in love. Maybe you think you should be doing it because everybody else is doing it. But usually if you're not ready to sacrifice, then it suggests you're not ready to be with someone on a deeper, more meaningful kind of way. I don't know. It's something I've been thinking about a lot of late. And I've been trying. I've been open. But things just aren't clicking. I do believe it's possible to live this lifestyle and to find love. So many people do it. But I think you may need to stop in your tracks for a bit and let it happen. And then consider going back on the road. What do you think? Have you achieved love whilst moving around and working? Do you believe in love? Is just the one and done the way forward? Times are changing. Things are different. You can let me know. You can hit me up on Instagram, danjinpho. That's Pho. Pho. Danjinpho. You can get us on the Lost in the Specific Instagram, Lost in Spec. Or you can email me. People email still. hello@danjincreates.com. Alternatively, you can find me on Bumble, Tinder, Plenty of Fish. I'm not on any of them. This has been Lost in the Specific. Thanks for listening. See ya.